Okay, so we wanted to talk on karma. Karma is a pretty well-known subject. Everybody knows about it, and most of the Indian religions at least talk about karmas, Hinduism, Jainism, Buddhism. And by karmas, a lot of times you ask people, and their definition is karma is your actions. And it's true, karma is your actions, but there is a lot more to karma than just the actions. Uh, it's simply putting all your actions that you do, there is going to be equal and opposite reactions, just like Newtonian physics says that. And the karmas take place in the real world, which is materialistic world. So that also is not immune from the Newtonian physics. Whatever actions you do, equal and opposite reactions will come. Whether it's a good karma, you'll have a good response and good reactions and good benefits. And if it's a bad karma, bad reactions, bad benefit, bad results, and sufferings. So those things we know, and everybody knows that. The question is that all there is? If that's the case, then fixing your actions should solve the problem. But we wish it was that simple. Uh, the way we look at it, the karma theory does operate at much deeper level than just your physical actions. And I always give an example to my patients. For example, if I have, if you're in my office and I have two things, carrots and carrot cake, what would you choose? So patient says, doc, come on, carrot cake. So I said, all right, so you have carrot cake, I have carrots. We both were hungry. We finished eating our whatever choice we made. And you leave the room and I go home. 2 days later, you're gonna still remember that you ate carrot cake and it still stayed in your head. But carrots are not addictive. I will, next day I can have cucumber or cauliflower. Doesn't matter to me, but your mind got hooked on that carrot cake. It made a room in your mind. And that carrot cake 2 days later is gonna bother you. So someday you'll be passing through a bakery and you will say, all right, well, that carrot cake was really good at Dr. Shah's office. Let me pick one up. So whatever you do 2 days later has a link to what you did today, what you're gonna be doing today. So, and where does this memory stay? At your mind level. So all of a sudden, karma is not just actions, it's actions at physical level, plus your thoughts and decisions that you take at the mind level. So mind gets involved, and that also is not that difficult to understand. Our physical actions are ultimately controlled by your thought processes. Somebody made a pyramid, one pyramid, for example, but 1,000 times, 1,000 pyramids were created in his head, but not all of them result into a pyramid. So your actions do go deeper at the mind level. So thoughts are also responsible for your actions. So that we know. But then, for example, if you take an example like a criminal, why does he commit crime? Because he has criminal thoughts. And a saint, why does he do a saintly actions? Because he has saintly thoughts. So at mind level, they are both different. So the question is, why one mind would think of criminal thoughts and why one mind will think of saintly thoughts? So the quality of your thoughts decides the quality of our actions, yes. But how do you work on, how does the quality of the mind works? So that we go further down. And that goes down to your intimate beliefs, intimate convictions, intimate bhav. So this is the sequence that we follow. First, we have a bhav, then we have vichar, and then we have kriya. So kriya is your actions, vichar is of course your thoughts, and bhav is your innermost feelings. For example, two friends get together in their childhood and they were having discussion and one friend says, I'm going to be a doctor. And the another says, no, I don't like to be a doctor. I won't like to be an engineer. Now, up until now, they both were close friends, everything common. But now their minds have diversified. One has developed a vow of becoming a doctor. Another has developed a vow of becoming an engineer. So now all their thoughts are going to be different from each other. Even though they're still the best friends, they're hanging out together, having good times together, playing games, traveling, whatever. But now their thought pattern is going to be different. And naturally, because one wants to be a doctor, another one wants to be an engineer. So one is going to explore the paths, how to become a doctor, another one follow. So that's how it says that your deeper innermost convictions, which is we call bhav, is what decides how your thoughts are going to be. And then of course, thoughts are going to decide your actions, what your actions going to be. So it's not simple as say karma is just your actions. So action really is happening not at just the physical level, but it is also happening at thought level, and it's also happening at the bhav level. So all these things together contribute towards your final actions. So if a criminal mind is having criminal thought, is because he has a bhav of becoming a criminal. He has decided to become a criminal. And the same thing, saint. He has decided to be a saint. So decision that you take at the bhav level really has a profound impact. But a lot of times we don't have time to study the bhav, let alone even the thoughts we don't think. People act just without even thinking. Like my patient, I asked him, what would you have, carrots or carrot cake? He didn't have to think twice. He was already primed to have unhealthy food. This is just an example. I'm just saying. So a lot of these things are built in and we don't pay attention to that. So karma theory is a good theory for someone who does help them guide through the proper actions and avoid future, consequences of all that. But it's not that simple, because then it requires inner change. And if you really think about it, actions are motions, we know that. So when we move around in time and space, the field, the sansar that we act in, these actions are carried out and it impacts everybody else around you. If somebody decides to create violence, then of course people will suffer. If somebody decides to be a nice guy, saintly guy, and also gonna benefit other people. So there is a lot of implication, yes. So there is a lot of motion involved, whatever actions you do and all that. But even if you cannot see the thoughts, thoughts are also mobile, just the way your actions are mobile. In fact, thoughts are even more mobile than your actions, because thoughts can go all over. Not all thoughts end up in actions, but it is a motion to begin with. So if you really literally analyze, thoughts are running. So are you. So the same thing is the bhav. Bhav is a very subtle movement. For example, I gave you on two friends. Before they decided to become an engineer or a doctor, they were the same. Their minds, their deeper consciousness was still steady. But as soon as it got diversified into becoming a doctor, into becoming an engineer, it picked up the momentum. So bhav also has a momentum. So what is karma? Karma is the person, the whole totality of the man from within is karma. So man, where did the word man come from? Man came from the word man. Man is our mind. Man is mind. So manushya, same thing. It comes from man, because we have developed significantly more advanced brain and mind, thinking power, and all those things. So manushya, or the man, is represented by the man. So manushya is man, basically. So what happens is the karma has to filter through your totality, not just your physical actions. And the examples are quite a few. Like, for example, if a criminal wants to look like a saint, he can do it. Actions, you can pick up anything. It doesn't matter. So a criminal, when he does a saintly action, what does that make him? Does that mean he's not a criminal anymore? No. He's still a criminal deep inside, just doing saintly actions. So it becomes permutation combination kind of thing. Similarly, if a saintly guy could be performing bad actions, to someone else, it may look like a bad action. Like, for example, a doctor trying to hurt someone by trying to operate on the patient, trying to help him, because his inner convictions, inward beliefs, inward intentions are clean. So the thing is that to have better karmas is not just simple enough to change your actions. It is better to go further deep into and study your thought pattern, and then study your bhav. And how do you do all these things? You have to realize that karma and the man are not two separate things. So ultimately, at the time when you commit any kind of karma, that karma has exactly to do with what you wear at that particular moment, which produces that karma, your total inner makeup. It doesn't matter, you might have good intention, but if you end up doing a bad thoughts, those intentions were not pure or they were subdued. So a lot of permutation combination is possible. So to have a thought speech integration, meaning bhav, vichar, and kriya, if everything remains synchronized, and then if good bhav picks up the good thoughts and then result into good action, that's a true good actions. Then you know that has been really some value. And that if requires cleansing, that needs to be cleansed, but at 3 levels, you have to clean it. For example, a mango tree produces only mangoes. So it depends upon if you are criminal inside, even if you do saintly actions, deep inside, the criminal is still active. So it's not just as simple as changing the pattern of your actions, because criminals can accumulate a lot of money and then say, okay, I'm going to donate to a temple. But inside, the criminal is still alive. That donation has no value. If at all, if there is any value to it, it will probably go to the people he milked money from in the first place. So he might be criminal in the first place, and then he's trying to donate to clean out his acts. So karma is a lot more. So karma is man. What is your totality? That is your actions. It's like if you don't act, then you disappear. It's like an ocean waves. For example, if you see a wave, waves are made out of ocean itself, but it's the ocean water in motion. You remove the motion from the wave, what happens? It merges with the ocean. So now, if you really realize that your karmas are actions, but your thoughts are also actions, and your bhav are also actions. So all these actions ultimately creates the karmas. So a lot of religions have put a lot of emphasis on fixing your karmas. Do this and do this and do this and don't do this and all that. It really gets your minds confused, because to fix your karmas, you've been told to fix your actions, but that does not really fix your inner side. Nobody talks about how to fix your thoughts, and nobody talks about how to fix your bhav. That's the ultimate way of resolving your karmic bondage. Because if you do anything in the world, you're going to be building up the karma bandh. Karma bondages will be created every time you act, because if you realize at the physical level, we are different. At mind level, we are also different. At bhav level, we are also different. So we have individual personality that transcends from bhav, vichar, and kriya. So at bhav, vichar, and kriya, everybody is different. And what is it? That's your ego. Ego is your identification, your totality, who you are, what you are. That's your ego. Now, if you can hold on to your ego, meaning you hold on to your bhav, and you hold on to your thoughts, but you just want to change your direction of your actions, that doesn't work because your ego is still there. So a lot of advices have been given by so many religions of fixing your actions. It does not really work. So what really works, we have to realize. We have to understand our emotions, what's happening within us. And that is possible through meditation. So if you really want to understand, meditation is all about non-doing. Because whenever you do something, whenever you act, now action, I'm not talking about just physical action, but your thoughts actions, your bhav actions, you are still involved. You have your name stamped on whatever action comes out of that triveni, bhav, vichar, kriya, whatever comes out of it, your name tag is on it. It's like you send a postcard with your name on it. If the postcard is sent and then it's undeliverable for whatever may be the reason, the address may be wrong, who would it come back to? You. So that's what the karma theory is saying. If you commit any action with yourself in the center as the priority, whether at the bhav level or at your thought level or your action level, you are alive. Your ego is alive. And sooner or later, whether you see it or not, whether in this life or next life, there will be a response to that. And you will have to pay for it. Simple as that. So the question comes in, how do we get out of these karmic bondages? The cycles of birth and rebirth, this is all that is happening because we have desires, because it's stemming from our bhav of grabbing something from the sansar. We think that there is something to gain from the sansar. Under this misbelief, we keep on running. And comes to the point that at some point, the life ends, but desires never ended. So what do we do? So at that time, we need another body. So the cycles of birth and rebirth keeps on going. So we really need to go down, very much down within ourselves to realize where the cleansing is required. So if you really go deep into meditation, and if you try to study what is going on within you, your actions, of course, are going to be obvious to you, and your thoughts are also going to be obvious. But little by little, with the gradual practice of non-doership, that's the first principle of meditation, is to become non-doer, meaning not doing anything at all. Everything is okay. Nothing matters. And another principle is let it happen. So meditation, there is no effort required. All you have to do is be a witness of whatever thoughts are coming without being a judgment. You are not there to judge whether you are a criminal or a saint, whether you're going to be an engineer or not, or a doctor, doesn't matter. Let your thoughts, let your convictions, your beliefs, even your bhav, let it come and go. They're all in the form of thoughts, and you just have to be a witness. By witnessing, what happens is gradually you start realizing, you start creating a distance between your thoughts, meaning your ego, and something that is within you, the awareness, your consciousness. You are becoming conscious of your mind. You are practicing mindfulness, being aware of your mind. Mind is a storehouse of your bhav, vichar, and of course, ultimately kriya. Your ego is stored at the mind level. So by being a witness of the ego, now you have learned the trick how to transcend the ego. Now, once you transcend the ego and settle down in the pure consciousness, this consciousness is where there are no thoughts. It's a thoughtless state. It is a state where you have no convictions, no beliefs. You have reached into a primordial state from which everything came out. This is where the idea of becoming a doctor came out, idea of becoming an engineer came out, idea of becoming a saint came out, idea of becoming a criminal came out, but they all came from this omnipotent, omnipresent, primordial consciousness. So you merge into that consciousness, and that's where your ego ends. So now you still have to act in the world. What do you do? At that time, the ego, little by little, gets pulverized, gets broken away, and you realize the futility of this ego. You realize the doership of this ego. So what happens? So now your consciousness takes over. At this point, when Arjuna was confused about what was going on the battlefield, what did he do? He turned to Krishna, the consciousness. The consciousness that's within us is Krishna consciousness. So you turn to Krishna consciousness, let it play the flute. You become the flute. The tunes which will come out, now they will be more pure, because now you're not going to be affected by your beliefs, your ego, your desires. Now you're going to be more synchronized with the consciousness, and consciousness created everything and everyone. So it is a consciousness is a parent for the whole universe. So your thoughts, your beliefs, your bhav also will be more geared towards the benevolence for the world. Philanthropic thoughts will come. And this is the whole process of meditation. And that's why Krishna says that do all the karmas, but leave all the results to me. Because before, who was claiming the results? The ego. Ego wanted all the results. But now the ego is gone. So where are the fruits gonna go? Supposing you do even something that you meant well and something goes wrong. Your intention was clean, but when you wrote the postcard, your name was not on it. The consciousness was on it. Krishna's name was on it. There is no suffering involved if your inner intentions, inner convictions are pure. So this purity we are striving to find in meditation. And this purity is the purity of consciousness, divinity of the consciousness. So ultimately, and why do we want to do this? She said, well, the results of your actions in the sansar are obvious. Benefits are obvious. Why not take that? And why do go through all this rigorous training and meditations and efforts and ultimately to synchronize with the consciousness? Why? For what? Because that brings you peace and tranquility. As soon as you remove your mind from the fruits of the action and you leave it everything up to him, your mind is filled with tranquility. And the peace that follows is anantamam. That's what Krishna says in Gita. They say, Shreyo hi dhyanat abhyasat. Abhyas is that repetitive life that we are living. We waking up in the morning and we just have decided this is what we're going to do. We don't think why we are doing this. So Krishna says, Shreyo hi dhyanat abhyasat. Abhyas means just repetition, nothing else. Dhyan is pay a little bit attention of what you're really doing. Try to wake up and see what else is out there. So Shreyo hi dhyanat abhyasat jnanat dhyanat vishishyate. What is better than dhyan? Yeah, you paid attention to what you're doing, but you utilize that awareness that, yes, I'm doing this repetitive task that I've been doing for so many years. And where have I gone? Try to analyze your life. And then with that awareness, go deep into this awareness. And what does it do? It leads to the knowledge, the jnana. So dhyanat vishishyate. So Gnan is better than Dhyan, but Dhyan is better than Abhyas. So Abhyas is the most primitive state in which we are operating. We are literally walking around unconscious, daytime or nighttime. We are into the mesmerism state with the physical world outside. So that we just keep on operating. We don't know why we're operating. Most of the people you ask, and you ask them, what is the meaning? Nothing. I don't know. I just have to do this. I have to do this. So we are like zombies. We're working. We never think. That's why they say dhyan is better than abhyas. But dhyan does not mean anything unless you reach to the jnana. Go further deep and receive the knowledge of the self. So shreyo hi dhyanat abhyasat jnanat dhyanam vishishyate. Dhyanat jnanat karma phal tyaga. So after you receive the knowledge, the jnanat karma phal tyaga, just because you received the knowledge and you connected with the self and the consciousness, what is the proof? When you act in the world, are you remaining synchronized with the consciousness? The new experience that you have with the samadhi state, you become pure and divine, and you call yourself pure and divine. The ultimate proof of that is karma phal tyag. Krishna says, don't just sit there with the knowledge, holding and doing nothing for the world. Do the action. He believes in action, but karma phal tyag. Do the actions, but give up the results of the action. Do not keep your eye on it. And that's why he says, Shreyo hi dhyanat abhyasat jnanat dhyanam vishishyate jnanat karma phal tyaga tyagas shanti anantaram. Why? Why tyag? Why tyag of your fruits of the action? Why? Because that removes the anxiety. Because fruits of the actions are in the future. And if you keep your eyes on the future, that means you always gonna remain in anxiety state. What will happen? Whether will I get this money or not? Whether I get this job or not? So all these are, if you offer everything to Krishna, the consciousness, you let the consciousness worry about it. Because tyagas shanti anantanam. Anant shanti, that ultimately can come. So karma theory is a good theory, but fixing your karmas requires your introspection, your identification, who you believe who you are. If you believe you are the body, if you believe you are the mind, think again, go further deep. Your ego will just disappear and drop away. And you connect with the consciousness, and then you enjoy the Shanti Anantamam. All right, guys, so much for today. Thank you.